I've got the sprayer on again. I've not got any spraying to do, I've got a leak. I'm needing an O-ring pick. Lucky lug nuts. The sprayer here has a free flow return up here and it's leaking and dripping a wee bit. So I'm going to change the O-ring in there and hopefully that'll sort it. Although that looks a bit worn. I'm going to take this coupler off because it's actually quite worn. If you see where my thumb is, there's a groove there that's been worn down by the inside of the female coupler. So I'll do the O-ring that's in there as well as changing this coupler and hopefully that'll stop the oil leak. Need to find another one of these. I think that's a 1/2 inch. Hey, that's not 100%. You can see it's got a little bit of creasing on that joint there, but it's a lot better nick than this one. The surface there is meant to be flat. If you look at this one, it's got a big groove in it. I think that's where the oil's leaking through. That's fine, so I just need to take that adapter off here. Put that in there. Hopefully this will fix it. It's still pretty loosey-goosey. Nah? That coupler in the sprayer is not leaking now. I'll give it a full test when I'm properly out spraying. That'll put it through its paces. Here is the worn out coupler. Good morning! We're scrapping some scrap. We're going to load out that trailer with we've probably got about 2 loads more to go. These are old hen drinkers that have been sitting there for years, they're knackered. Get them away. There's some old frames, an old roller set of frames there. Some cattle barriers from the old central passage in that shed up there. There's even an old mower. I did put that up for sale, no one was interested. I also put it on Instagram for an hour saying if anyone wants it for 300 quid, it's yours. Nah, no one's having it, so it's going to the scrappy. The bulldozer. This is an old cultivator frame. We're going to keep that. It's quite a solid frame. I might end up making a bale spike out of that for some square bales. This is an old net frame. So we used to grow turnips and we used to put nets on them. And basically, if you can make it out, between here and the far side there was a shaft and the roll of net went on there. The 3-punt link is there linked onto the tractor and then you unravelled the net as you drove forward. But we've not used it for years and it's pretty knackered now, so just for the scrappy. This is the PTO off of the mower. I'll keep that. Might come in handy. I'll take the old oil lines off of this. Salvage these oil lines. That can now go into the trailer. This is an old set of rollers, Cambridge rollers. We'll get the oil lines and the rams off of this. The rams are a bit all pitted, but I don't know how much it costs to get rams re-sleeved or re-chromed. Put it down below, is it worthwhile or I'm not sure. I don't know if that ram's actually got a wee bend to it or not. Hey ho, we'll get the rams off of it, we'll scrap it, and if we ever come to need the rams, we'll see about getting them re-sleeved, re-chromed. Goodbye, old frame. Is it gonna fit? Just. Pull this out of the abyss. That's the first ram out. The oil lines that were on this were knackered. Didn't keep them. What did I use? Oh, I chopped. There used to be a mount there for a wheel. A wheel used to sit here. I chopped it off and put it onto the container, which is up in the shop there. That's why that bit's gone. Right, we're going to cut this bit shorter just to get it in the trailer, no bother. So get a plasma cutter and down there. Right, we've done this bit. This piece should be apart, it's hanging on by a wee whisker. Perfect. Goodbye, old mower. Like a glove. Yesterday I asked, the weight of the trailer of wire and various bits and bobs ended up being 2 ton 40. So I think I said I would send someone a free cap, whoever was closest. 2 ton 40, who was closest? That load there, it's got the mower in it and various bits and bobs, have a guess. There's no free hat this time, but have a guess. I'll take a guess at 3.5 ton. 3.5? 3 ton. Caravans there, so we have 3 static caravans. 4 people working in the farm shop. It's getting a clean down at the moment. It's been empty for a while. Just swapping the gas bottles here. This isn't properly empty, but where the banger is, the bottle that I put out at that, it's empty. So I'm going to take a kind of one with a little bit in it rather than putting a full big belter of a tank out at the sunflowers. I've asked this before, but what does the notch on that nut mean? That wee notch. If you know, you know. Ideally I'd have a smaller bottle, and you're not meant to put them on their sides, but I've not killed myself yet, so we're doing alright. I've not had bother with crows, but seagulls, they don't mind the banger. Nailed by a seagull. Remember the other day I was saying they come up with the shells and the seeds still on them. Well, this shell's not quite popped off yet, but that's how they come out. It's quite windy, I don't know if you can hear me, but we're doing alright for damage. We've probably maybe had like 5% of the heads nicked off. I know a lot of them do regrow another set of leaves and kick on, so we're doing fine. If the weather stays like this, we're laughing. This has still got some gas in it, it's still banging. Don't know why it's stopped. It seems to be not automatically banging. Lights on, the test switch works. We'll leave that there, it seems to be working. I just haven't heard it all morning, so I thought it was out of gas because the bottle is low, but I'll keep listening for it. The wind's blowing away from the farm, so maybe it's that. I asked the other day what totty meant. I didn't even realise it meant good looking woman, apparently. I use it as small. Our cattle beast had some wee horns, so I said it was had some totty horns. Helicopter, field of rye. I don't think it's a coincidence, but maybe it is. Maybe I'm just noticing it more, all the aircrafts. They do training out of Perth. There's a place that does aircraft training and teaching, whatever you call it. This old water tank can go. Fill up with water and it'll be worth more than scrap. We're just pulling out bits that are for scrapping and having a wee bit of a red up. I'm not sure what this old tank would be for. If anyone's got any ideas. It's got a stud pattern there to obviously put a seal on it or a valve. Or, I have no idea really. See if I remember how to drive this. Yes. So we've got these old barriers to go in. Kev's just getting them now. Just going to take the trailer to him. Save him trying to lug them about the yard. Go, how many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 I think. They just fit in and no more. They're not all the same length, so hopefully they're all fit, fingers crossed. This one here is the longest. So these used to be the central passage in that cattle shed there. Used to be a raised passage, and either side there was these feed barriers for the cattle. We ripped them out about 6-7 years ago, and then I came back from uni and decided I wanted cows, and Semi wished we didn't rip them out, but hey ho, I've done it now, too late. I have used some of these to make gates. That one not fit? Nah. This one's too long. We'll try and fold it on itself and just bend it. If not, we'll go up and plasma cut it at the workshop. We're just going to chuck the long ones in. They're not that much longer, an extra foot or so. We'll take this round to the workshop and we'll just chop the ends off. Goodbye, pigsty. And she's gone. Not much of a pigsty anymore. Here goes the water tank. We got those bits shortened and the door shut. Got a water tank, we've got scrap that are in those drums from the workshop. We just use them as scrap bins. So we'll empty them out, fire them into the trailer. And this is the last load. That's been 4 loads, I think. It's an old tank and there was a lid on it, so Kev's just going to put the fork in there, pull it out. We want to keep this part because we'll just turn it back up again and fill it up with scrap, but that hole should be strong enough to lift it off. Just an old diesel tank cut in 2, the other half's filled with scrap as well over there. Voila! Need to mix up a bit of feed for the cattle. There goes the minerals, there goes half of them out the door. Minerals in the bucket there, rolled barley, byproduct of pressing oilseed rape, and that's the mix, done and dusted. There's a bit of molasses in there as well with the barley. There's a right squeak coming from one of the joints. I just went away and greased the whole front end, but it's still squeaking away. Really annoying. Feed mixed. I'll just sweep this up. Kev shouldn't be far away with the trailer. Load that up and get this along to yard 2. Yard 2 is desperately needing feed. Hopper needs filled today, tonight. Dad's been to fetch carrots, I think. Is it carrots in here? No, potatoes. Rooster potatoes. Rooster are red. It's going in the chill. These are just going to go in the chill here. I'm needing these. The only Manitou thing we own. This box sits really low. Oh, it's nice and cool in here, which is actually quite nice because it's a roasting hot day. Glorious, best day we've had this year. Cheers for watching. Need to go and see a man about a dog.